then as you get older, you realize like that doesn't help anything either. It's more like this is just sort of my world experience has brought me to this point, and yours brings you to your point. And as I get older, I'm more like, I don't give a shit what anybody believes in, as long as like you're a decent person. Right. You're watching people that every day get on TV saying that they're like Christians, and in the same breath like telling like anyone that doesn't look like them that they have to be deported. One side has this issue with it, and another side has issues with it, or this side's pro it, and like a video game can't come out without that happening. Like it's literally like every part of like American life.
Every fabric of society.
A hardline divisive stance. So you're like, I don't know what way we're gonna go, but like it definitely feels like that sometimes when I think of like how young we are, and you're like, oh yeah, like mathematically we would be at the end of whatever this version of America is. At least he's an honest liar. It's like, so that's where you're at to like defend him is. At least he's an honest crook. Like it's just like a whole, and then I'm like, oh, this is just the inevitable path we've been on. Is that eventually a loud, arrogant, ignorant billionaire CEO will be in charge. But like he would never in his wildest dreams ever do that to like Vladimir Putin. Because he wants to be Vladimir Putin. He'll take the small guy that the dictator is pummeling in a war and embarrass him in the White House. But he will never stand up to the actual dictator. They were able to get rid of that. Then you could have opinionated news anchors. That it's like, at 10:36, a bomb off. It might have been a liberal Democrat that set it off. We'll have to find, like, and then you use the word might have, right? You just say might have. Because I'm not lying.
That was good.
It's like
that was good.
I've had people that like I know more like my age that are obviously on the other side of the political aisle of me. Where like one time, like when Cuomo got in all that trouble, I had someone be like, oh, your boy. I'm like, who the fuck's my boy? There's no politician that's ever existed that's my boy. There'll never be a politician who I will wear on my hat or on my shirt or have a flag outside my... Right. You're in a cult.
Boom. So, yeah. I can't trust no switching roadie. I be on my grown thing. Keep on moving, time be skipping, phone and going home. Same process, trust the progress. I be knowing where it's home. Man, free me, feel me, see me, I see so, yeah.
So yeah, we got TJ McGowan in the crib. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. It's good to be back.
Yo, it's been a
minute. Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been over 100 episodes since you've been here first.
Oh shit.
When I reached out to you, I was trying to line it up perfect because the first time you were here, you were on my 17th episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
This is
you just did a 118, right? Just released.
That was just released, but this is gonna be my 121st.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I used to be like weeks ahead of myself, and then I got super like hectic with life and super
you even doing is like not to already start going off like book on something, but like even like in the world I work in. And sometimes, you know, we produce podcasts for people or like we have people rent our studio or how many things I've seen like have this like a great idea and then it's like they film 10 episodes and they put them out and then they never go back to it.
Yeah.
So like for you to actually like consistently put out to the point that you're dropping like 119th and I'll be on the 121st is like congrats.
Yo, thank you, bro.
Consistency is everything when it comes to this kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise it just becomes like a one and done kind of a thing.
Right.
So for you to actually stick with it is awesome.
I just love it, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just love it. I feel like at the end of the day, I want to have these conversations.
Because you're a conversationalist. You're
bro.
Like a very good conversationalist.
So are you, though. So are you. That's why it's easy to talk to you, man. But let's jump right into it, bro. I was also looking at that tattoo. That shit's sick, bro. Oh no, the one on top of it. That one's cool too, bro. Yeah, what does that mean?
This is it's lifted from the cover of like the first book of poetry I ever did.
Okay,
it was an artist that designed the cover for me. On the cover, this person's like sitting at a desk that also has like a bunch of other heads with different expressions. So it's kind of like which head am I going to wear today? So then the happy and the sad one, I kind of had someone lift just that from the cover and get it tatted.
Man, that's dope as fuck.
Little reminder.
Nah, yeah.
To try to that both exist in us, but maybe you try to put the happy head on when you walk out.
And bro, I was telling you when you walked in, bro, you look great, man. Yeah, man, you doing those like the walks and changing your like what you eat and stuff. Like, what's your game plan here?
I definitely eat better, and I definitely eat more consistency, like with good stuff. Try to get back to how I eat. Because at one point I used to be I was always like a big guy, and then I was like I got like the fittest I've ever been, and then kind of like fell off that over the years. And then now I'm trying to be more consistent with like just eating better, not eating overeating. Because my problem was never that I would like eat really bad things.
Okay.
But I'm like I can get like a second, sort of third, or whatever it is. So, and honestly, from living with my now fiance, it's like you just kind of can keep each other like
in check. Yeah,
especially if that she knows that I'm trying that it's like harder for me to not binge and all that. Like to then just we make healthy meals and we eat healthy meals and we go on walks.
That's
and,
what's up, man.
Like trying to just like make sure there's some activity involved in it to like get me back into just shape.
Man.
And it is true. People are like once because now that I just turned 40 a couple months ago, like, and everyone's like, oh, once you turn 40, everything just starts to like hurt. And it's like, it's kind of crazy that you just like start to wake up and you're like, why am I back? and you're like, holy shit! Like it really does just
affect over time.
Just like over time, it makes sense, right? Like your bones, are the same bones I've had for 40 years. Eventually, they're gonna have aches and pains and all.
No, I hear you, man. It is very important to stay active. I
know you.
Bro, I love the gym. I love the gym, bro.
Super healthy guy.
Yo, bro, you. If you ever want to come with me, I have. No, I'm serious. I have the Black Card membership. You can come through with me. You don't have to pay anything. You can come. Yo, I'll give you a nice gym like routine schedule that is right for you, bro. Like for real. Like I could also provide you some really good information with this book that I read. You could read it if you want. It's called Nutrient Timing by Lauren Link. Okay. And it's really good because it gives a good idea of what you can do and based out of what you want. You know, if you want to do something like really, really active, then they have a set schedule and a eating routine that you can follow for that. You know, and I think it's really, really dope. I've mentioned the book many times. It's a really awesome book, honestly. But yo, I heard congratulations, fiance, yo, congratulations. All right, man, you're gonna have a wedding. Yo, how does that feel, man? You've entered your 40s. You're about to get married. You've written many books. You know, you've had a very good, I would say, journey. You know what I'm saying? Sure. This is a great journey you're on, man, and you're living in New York, bro. You're having a story being written already right now.
I mean, I'm great. I'm grateful every day of like, stopping and pausing and looking back at like essentially like who I used to be, and not that like that person's unrecognizable, but that like people always say like, what would you go back and tell like the teenage version of yourself or the young version of yourself? Like that, like you like hold on because I was such a different person, like when I was younger. I was more insecure, dealing with depression, all that sort of stuff, like angsty shit, and then just other stuff. Right. And sort of like be an adult now, and kind of all the thoughts I used to have about myself or perceived myself when I was younger or whatever part of my life. And then to be sort of like genuinely in love with somebody and it be healthy, like a healthy relationship, having, enough that are unhealthy and then kind of just my story and then our story together feels very organic because neither of us were looking for a person, and then you sort of
that's perfect.
It almost like opens you up, like once you have experienced your own solitude, not loneliness, but like the importance of solitude. Like, right. My time is my time, and what I do with my time for my own benefit and my happiness and my joy, and then finding a way to make time for someone else. And then the more you're used to your own time, the more it has to all fit to give up that time. And we both sort of like were in that mental state. And I think that's why it kind of like actually opened it up to that where we fit. And then to go from that to now like sort of looking at wedding venues and picking and the kind of like aligning the date. Like literally today we sent over the thing for the date, like to like sort of like start the commitment to the venue. So it's like a younger me would have never thought like any of that would have been possible for him. Like so it's kind of like a wild thing to perceive, to go from like points in my life where I was very much the like I'm unlovable to like actually being happy and genuinely in love with somebody and having that person like accept you for who you are and love you back.
You've
so
seen
it's a
different
wild
sides.
It's a wild thing to process. And I sometimes I just like, oh, it won't happen for me or whatever it is. And then now I'm glad that it's happening to me when it's happened to me and how it happened. Because I'm a little older, a little wiser, a little bit more, have been through things that I knew didn't make me happy. And so it's just a more mature, peaceful, calming relationship. Where, I constantly, people like I swear, like we don't argue. And then everyone's like, just you wait. And I'm like, that's a really bad way to think about it. Like, you want me to sit and wait for like what you're saying is the inevitable thing that I'll eventually either like we'll argue or we won't get along, or it's a weird thing, a concept to me that we're so built into our society is like, oh, that like honeymoon will end, or
you think it's a projection?
Oh yeah, I think it's like societal pressure, right? Like of the roles that people tell you you're supposed to play, whether it's man, woman, whatever it is in a relationship. And that like all of that stems from that. And then like if you're in a relationship that's argumentative, you can normalize that if every other relationship is argumentative, right? Then you can tell someone else like, just you wait, one day you're gonna argue. And it's like, or the true other thing is that like tenets like communication,
right,
open dialogue, being truthful. Yes, you might disagree and stuff like that, but like if you do all those other things, the disagreements are not knockdown, drag out, like full on fights and arguments and stuff, because you're being communicable and open, and you're allowing each other to feel the feelings you're supposed to be feeling. You're not trapping each other in a box. And that's why I say I've almost feel that the way my life has worked out, that I was old enough and mature enough and emotionally ready to be that person, and to then accept someone else that's looking for that. Because if you're both in that mindset, that getting along is like very easy to do.
It's the life outside. Sure. That could be difficult, right?
Of course. And even that, like learning how to
deal with that,
navigate that independently as a person, and then with somebody else.
It's a matter of how your inner relationships are, right? And I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying before in terms of solitude. You kind of have to have that before you can get that, because it's understanding and respect to having that. Because solitude, there's a lot to learn and enjoy within yourself, and finding who you are and what you desire, right? But then when you actually have someone that values themselves the same way and then can connect on that same level, that's something that, I mean...
And it makes everything else easier. It's like a lack of a better word for that, but like to like achieve solitude, you sometimes have to go through loneliness. And I think a lot of times what happens is that is a very scary thing, because you face things, and you face things in yourself to break through the solitude. Like, and it's tough, and it can be lonely, and it can be scary. And no knock to like people that like always hop from like, those people that are like always in relationships. And because it's scary to not be in one, because then it's scary to be alone, and being alone can turn into like crippling loneliness.
But then you can enjoy it.
if you can navigate it to get to your solitude.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but even that, like if it's like the balance of the scales, right? Because then if you get too locked in solitude, then you'll actually never open up any part of yourself to receive someone else. Well, so it's like a weird pendulum that you have to kind of keep, right. Like it has to float somewhere between full solitude and loneliness. You're trying to because you don't want the loneliness to turn into an active depression or a manic depression, but you also don't want the solitude to completely lock you off from relationships with other humans. Yeah. Not just like romantic, just in general.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I was actually going to mention that too, because you were relating it before in terms to society, right? Because if you're in a healthy, good relationship with someone in your personal inner life, it's easier for you to have those better relationships in your professional life.
Oh yeah,
it's just like a more automatic thing. You can kind of see it too in society when someone's actually just happy, genuinely happy within their choices, right? Because those are the choices, right? Yeah. But it's also a matter if you are. I feel like it's luck, timing, a lot of things, And I think, and you should be granted with the appreciation of just simply saying it's luck. I feel, why not? Because at the end of the day, you're lucky to be alive. You're lucky to be blessed. You're lucky to have breath. You're lucky to be here right now.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to get too sidetracked too, but there's just so many conversations that are very interesting that we could speak about. But it's been a while.
Yeah.
Are you still an atheist?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I saw this dope ass video with I think it was Jordan Peterson versus like 25 atheists. You saw that shit? Yeah. I was like, wow, there was some pretty good points. There was one point that an atheist brought up that was like, you know what? Yeah, this motherfucker got a good point right there. But look, I believe in God, and I know you're an atheist. But you know what he said that I was like, you know what? I could rock with that. He said one thing. He was like, "Yo," he's like, not yo, obviously. He said, "I'm not educated," but he was like, "You're a Christian, right? Well, there's different forms of religion, and I have my own beliefs. I'm an atheist. Oh, how are you to say the same way that you're not going to say to another religion to me how I'm supposed to be viewing life or telling me how I'm viewing life when I wouldn't say the same thing about you." And I was like, oof, that was a great flip. And I was like, oh shit.
But even within it's easy for me to just say like, yeah, I'm an atheist. But even within like the absence of belief or whatever, or like the absence of a belief in God, it's like, all right, even that breaks down, right? There's agnostic, there's atheists, there's like atheists is like sort of completely void of any idea that there's like sort of like a faith or like a fate or like a destiny or like an omniscient God. And agnostics, I believe it's more sort of like, I accept there's a lot I don't know about the universe, and that like something made this all, or like put it like, something ultimately like, whether you're a Big Bang Theory person or, it's some kind of divine intervention, like even in like the absence of belief, right? Like there's still many avenues of going from like, I believe in no God whatsoever, and like, I just don't have the answer to like whatever it is. And then in the middle saying like, I just don't think there's like an active conscious God. Like, so even that breaks down almost like, you have like Christianity, Catholicism, Protestant.
I see what you're saying.
Like even on that side of the scale, there's like a whole different magnitude of the scale of like not being, because some people are like more spiritual and they just don't want like, they don't believe in like organized religion or so it's like even that breaks down where, like I always get the point of view where people will like say like the atheists are like assholes, and like probably when I was younger there was like a more chip on my shoulder about it, where like
more like a teen punk attitude about it,
and like wanting to actively tell other people they're wrong. But then as you get older you realize like that doesn't help anything either. It's more like this is just sort of my world experience has brought me to this point, and yours brings you to your point. And as I get older I'm more like, I don't give a shit what anybody believes in, as long as like you're a decent person.
Right.
Where that becomes more of my issue now. It's not like, you want to have like the philosophical debate of if there's like an entity or something. You can do that without argument, without like, it's actually, it's cerebral.
Yeah.
I'm more on the other side of it is like, if the thing you believe in pushes you to be like a worse person, is it like, that's where I always like, I find things interesting where it's like, is it the susceptibility of like the hive mind, or is that individual no matter what belief you drop them in, where they tend to take that belief and turn it into like a negative? You know, like if
it's such a roll of dice, bro.
It's like I know a ton of like I know Christians that can't stand like American evangelical Christianity, that feel like it puts them in like this sort of box that like they have to constantly answer for like that level of Christianity, when they're like, I go to mass and like Jesus teaches me that you feed the poor and you take care of your neighbor, and I'm like, yes, that's great. Those are wonderful things.
That part.
And then you kind of, I get like, how did that ever become so like corrupted in like maybe our like the American system? I don't know, where like you're watching people that every day get on TV saying that they're like Christians, and in the same breath like telling like anyone that doesn't look like them that they have to be deported. And it's like, even when I was raised like Catholic, it was like, wait a minute, wasn't the whole like Jesus was an immigrant? Like, wasn't the whole thing like you help people that don't have clothes on their back or food to eat?
Or I think so backwards.
And, and now you're telling me that like your Christianity is what is now allowed, like you're using it for the opposite of that. That's where I get like lost in kind of
the beauty. And I hear you completely, right? But the beauty, what I find the beauty in the Bible and the beauty of the Word is the stories, is those realities, those depictions. Exactly what you're saying, yo. Like the Bible is a beautiful creation. It really is. It genuinely is. If you take the time to read, I haven't read the whole Bible. It's a lot of pages, but
many of the stories have like a core value that's like essentially like help your fellow human. Like, it's like
for sure. But it also shows like, and it faces the realities of humans.
Sure.
And it also shows like the gruesome nature of humans and everything, right? So it's just like, bro, like it's everything, your choices and what you make of it. It is definitely at the end we have free will. He gave us free will, you know what I mean? Like, and it does it not he, right? Not like he, she, like, you know what I'm saying?
Like you could find another like person that believes in God, because that in that same breath would tell you it's all preordained. And then like there's Christians that believe in free will, and there's Christians that believe in like the path has been set,
right?
Which is like another thing. You're like, even within that, it breaks down where you could be in the same church, and like the person you're sitting next to is a free will person, and the other person is a preordained person.
Yeah, I feel you.
And it's like, it's sort of.
I think at the end of the day, for me personally, like how I feel about it is like I feel like we all have free will. We have our own choice, and I think that's the beauty of it. Like we're all still here. We also have creation.
I think free will. Like I'm a free will person too. I think I'm trying to say it in a way that doesn't sound negative, but preordained destiny to me, like, robs the purpose of life, or like the point of existence. Like, it's just like, well, if every choice I make is like was pre-written for me, it's kind of like, wow, it makes being a human feel pretty empty.
You know how I feel about it? You know how like oceans like have their waves and it sets into the sand, and no matter what you do, it's always that.
Sure.
But then there's like animals and life in between that like just make different choices, but it's still always the same ocean. Sure. I feel like that's what it is, bro. Like I feel like, it's not necessarily that it's like for sure thing that's gonna happen, but there are certain things that for surely is gonna happen.
There's like Yeah, there's the environment around us, and then there's the elements within the environment.
And just the regular characteristics of human. Ego, pride, certain things that just are in society always. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that creates certain things that will forever continue to happen. That's why people are always like in the same shit, and the same drama, and the same this, and the same that. People have been watching gladiators fight since what year? I don't even know. You know what I'm saying?
No, totally. But like I think like the free will of like the elements or like the beings within all the environment. Mm-hmm. It's a coexistence of like. Yeah. But we'll also start to change the environment with either behavior or over a very long period of time. But there's just something that feels more rewarding about life that like I think I have my own free will to make decisions. Also, because like preordained things kind of makes all terrible people get a pass. So like a serial killer is preordained, a baby murderer is preordained. Like
that was supposed to happen.
Then it's like, all right, so say that is true. Mm-hmm. Then the argument. All right, if it's all preordained and like the God has written the path for everyone, including the pedophiles, the murderers, the rapists, and all that sort of stuff. All right, so say that's true, and I'm preordained, I guess, to not be that. Right. Then like, you can't then in the same breath kind of like say that this is like a good and joyous God. Like that if the good and joyous God is setting awfulness on a path too. Mm-hmm. Like that's why I like it. My brain has a tough time with those elements of either like faith or religion because I think it's all more complicated than to boil down to like however many billion people have been set on a path.
That's why I find even spiritual teachings a little bit interesting, or even just watching nature videos.
Sure.
Nature videos tell us a lot about society too, how animals interact in the wild. Oh man, animals are vicious.
Sure.
Animals are wild, and that's exactly how humans can be as well too. But I feel like we have the capability of reaching people's minds differently, and time, constantly shows that we want more. We want better.
Sure.
I think not everybody, maybe not everywhere, but generally, I feel like people do want better for themselves, for the people around them, and to provide, man. Like, but what is that thing? You're right. Like, what is that thing that makes people a certain thing? And what do I mean by that? I mean, why are there people that are in certain situations that don't choose to be a killer, to be a robber, to be an abuser, to be a manipulator, to be this, that, and the third? And people that are in the same situation that have been in the same situation choose a different route. That's something internal that I don't understand. That I feel like is a roll of the dice. Is that genetic? Is that this? Is that? What the fuck is that though? Right?
I understand. Yeah, I don't. I'm sure there's we all probably have like a map to our own internal universe that ping-ponged us to like the person we became or we will still become, and how like the same path might turn someone the other way is a pretty kind of it's interesting to think about. That two people could kind of walk the same path, but ultimately still become two completely different people.
Completely.
Completely. And I'm sure there's many things that like factor into that and like who we become, but I still like the idea that we all have choices along that path, though.
Yeah, man.
Like that there's more power in the individual.
Mm-hmm. And in today's society, it's kind of wild, right? Because there seems to be no, por favor, hey, no. I already told she's about to maybe. Maybe chill. This is some dogs you don't like, but in today's society, right? Like it's tough to find just real togetherness. Everyone's kind of like very much in a clique-based society. Like, oh, I'm on this team or I'm in this team.
Yeah.
It's never been like we're in America, in terms of it's really a blue side or a red side, and then like people are constantly in battle, not really trying to find a median.
And then it's like I feel like for a long time, you could always see the trajectory of like the political state going that way. Like even when I like was younger, I still have like pretty like I feel like the majority of my life, politics has been a team sport. And that, like, prior to that, if I've ever heard, like, an older generation person speak about it, like, I can't even fathom what it would have been at a different time prior to, like, the sensationalism of politics and, like, the kind of alternative realities that you can put on your TV at night. Like,
right.
So you're like, but then what ultimately is like now it's not even just politics, right? Like, so it's like, yeah, you could have a person that puts on Fox and then a person that puts on CNN. They live in two completely alternate realities, and it's a team sport, and it's right. But once that becomes like entertainment, now I feel it doesn't matter politics or not. Every single thing is divisive. Like every topic is a hard-lined, like divisive thing. Like. I'm not even talking about like major things. It's like a movie, like a Disney movie can't even release without it becoming a politicized thing where it's like one side has this issue with it and another side has issues with it, or this side's pro it. And like a video game can't come out without that happening. Like it's literally like every part of like American life
every fabric of society,
a hardline divisive stance on things that you're like, I thought there were certain things we just all sort of accepted, like being a decent person, like that. If you know, like the perception of like what I said before, like if you just were like the idea of compassion has almost become like divisive. Or like if you just like, hey, like you should like respect your neighbor and try to help people that have like maybe less than you, or like help maybe feed somebody, or you know, is now that is like perceived as like a political stance almost. Like just basic human compassion is now also divisive, or like someone will try to put you in a box because of it. Or, and I unfortunately am like a doomsday type of person with that, where like there's no turning around the ship we're on. So what you can, it's like the two of us can't control that, but we can control like other things in our lives, or that togetherness, that like idea of just like coexistence. We can do on like this more molecular level,
absolutely.
So that you would hope that then that innately kind of like spreads out other places, so that there are. You know, you constantly need the reminder that there are also decent people on this earth, right? Where like everything isn't the team sport divisiveness, or like at each other's throats about like every possible thing, or like, you know, everything has to either be like, there's no gray area anymore in anything. It's like, it's got to be this or this or this or this. And for that to start on like the political level many decades ago, and now I feel like I see it in like every part of society, is like, obviously it's only gotten worse and probably will continue to get worse. I don't know that I have faith that like the whole of it will turn around, but I think pockets of like decency and people wanting to like have togetherness or community, on a personal level, you can succeed. But I don't know how that ever turns around on the societal level.
I think it happens bit by bit, and I think it probably happens in waves, because we haven't seen it in our time, you know? Because I think society, I'm weird, but I like listening to the music of all time.
Sure.
Right? And even tempo of music, like this, bro. Like, there's different periods people listen to music in a fast tempo, slow tempo. I think society is a lot like that.
Sure.
So it's like, we're just in our phase of what it is right now. And technically, as a country, we're still young. Yeah, you know, like if you go to other countries, they've adapted different teachings and understandings. I think that it does take a certain amount of time, and we are a different type of society.
Sure. I think that in a way sometimes scares me more that like America's young, because like many empires didn't last much more than like 300 years. True. Years. So you're like, so like if we use history as like not a full determining factor
or a baseline,
you're kind of like, oh, so this is the end of this empire. And then you look outside the window and you're like, oh, well, there are plenty of signs that say this is like end of empire stuff.
Right.
Like that, like your economic disparities are higher now than they were in the Great Depression.
Right.
But like we all convince ourselves because we have a flat screen TV that we're not within a depression. But like we are clearly within a financial and economic depression. Like literally, like it is the widest gap it's ever been. Even like I could probably look back when I was born in 1985 and find a bunch of things that were never privatized yet. And now we have private prisons. And now, like every aspect of life is privatized. You're like, capitalism can't go much further than that. And if every part of your life is privatized and it's built on profit margin, then the CEO that owns that part of your life doesn't care about the well-being, health, or joy in your life. They care about how much blood, sweat, tears, and pennies can they squeeze out of you. And you're like, oh yeah, that's like end of empire stuff. That's where many other empires sort of like, that's essentially what
before they leave.
They either completely crippled themselves or they had mass violent uprising from the people that were being stepped on. And so you're like, I don't know what way we're going to go, but like, it definitely feels like that sometimes when I think of like how young we are. And you're like, oh yeah, like mathematically we would be at the end of whatever this version of America is.
Shit. So how does that make you feel like in terms of being here? Do you would still ride or die in America, right? Because why not? We're here.
Well, most people don't. We actually can't. Most of us are not in a situation where we can pick up and
go anywhere else.
It's like so you're trying to like wake up every day, stay sane, laugh instead of cry, and keep pushing forward and control what you can control in your life. But then also at the same time, not in a way that, just like with the solitude conversation, completely cuts you off from like what's actually happening in the world around you, and how you can partake in the betterment of society.
Do you feel like Trump being in office is only like bettering that percentile, and is it a constant rodeo of that?
I mean, I think Bush was the sign of the end of the empire. I think Trump's just like the absolute like worst version you're gonna get of like that. Honestly, I say worst version. I might not know that. I think that like it could get worse, but like he's the literal end product of where like conservative America has taken themselves from like Nixon to now. You go on like Twitter and you look at like that level of like internet conservative, he's just that brought into the real world. And even like conservative members of like, I feel like that my own family and people I know that are maybe a little older, they're not even attached to that world. So they can't even comprehend like the full gamut of like that level of conservatism, where like it is team sport, but it's at a level now where like you don't even have to have decorum, right? Like you have like, the fucking attorney general just tweeting out, "Suck it," like whenever she gets her way, and you're like, this is a 47-year-old adult woman, like, or you have like a president that like will like just say like playground school insults to people. This is a 70-year-old adult man.
It's crazy.
And so you're like, the fact that is now accepted.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Like, so there's like different types of acceptance. There's like people that are like, hell yeah, that's what I voted for. I want him to insult everybody that I view as my enemy, and I want him to say childish things, and I want him to troll people, and I want him to like, the White House account will post like AI generated memes of people being deported, and I'm like, this is reality. Like this like, there's grown adults right now, breathing air, that are not just like okay with it. They're like, that's what I wanted. I'm like, that's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like the rest of us, there's like just a level of acceptance because we're like, oh, this is who we are. Like, he's not an anomaly. It was easy to say like 8 years ago.
Right.
This is just an anomaly and we'll get over it.
Right.
You're like even more younger people like him now than 8 years ago. You're like, oh, it's not an anomaly. This is the end of the American experiment. If you become if you just constantly harp on like anti-intellectualism, if you're looking for an internet troll come to life, and if you're looking for someone that will put out as much cruelty as they can on the people you perceive as your enemy, then that's what you're going to get. And if like a collective amount of society is constantly being dumbed down, having all their anger fed, then it's like easy for some East Coast billionaire to swoop in, say the things you want to hear, and make himself a million more times profitable. It's even got to the point where like I know people that are like, at least he's honest about being a crook. It's like, so that's where we're at. So like, that's your rationale is like, at least he's an honest liar. It's like, so that's where you're at to like defend him is, at least he's an honest crook. Like it's just like a whole, and then I'm like, oh, this is just the inevitable path we've been on. Is that eventually a loud, arrogant, ignorant billionaire CEO will be in charge because we're a loud, arrogant, ignorant country that all have been told his life is the American dream. To be a billionaire, and you can step on everyone in your way to get that. That's the American, and that's like very selfish.
Yep.
And when you're past the point of industrialization, the self-made millionaire is no longer like the inventor, it's just some fucking guy that throws his name on it and sues you or doesn't pay somebody and like makes his money in kind of like a gross fucking way. Like that's the inevitable, that's the American dream. And it's just like, oh, he's an inevitability.
Right. And even when you look at a lot of people or who they glorify, a lot of times it is that, right? It's that type of character doesn't necessarily have to be Trump, but same like
it's like that. Yeah. Just that he's just the like the fucking like poster child of it now because he's the president again. But it's just it's that just like that idea that like a selfish, arrogant, shitty human with a big bank account is like something that you should look up to or aspire to. It's like the American dream. It's like so many people are like, oh, that's what I want. And it's like, you can't get there without being terrible to other people. Like, you know, it's like, I know people that voted for him and support him that knew how awful he was in the real estate business back in the 80s and 90s. Like they know how he would rip people off, how he was known to not do business with them because he would never pay you, or he'd find a way to sue his way out of it, or he'd lie or whatever. He becomes a fucking time suck on everybody. You literally can't wake up without being like, did he accidentally set something on fire today? Did he like what economic thing did he ruin today? Or like what, you know, like you're like, what stupid thing did he say to some other world lead? Like you like, and he becomes like a fucking time suck. That it's like everyone is always, but that's what he loves, right? He's an egomaniac. He doesn't care if you hate him or like him. He just wants to be talked about.
To the attention. There was one thing that I saw that was pretty interesting though. He had the South, I think he had the South African president in the Oval Office set up. Yeah. And like he was like showing him like what was going on with like and with all the white farmers that were killed and stuff, and like that they showed like the video of like all the people. Yeah. It was like a crazy ass shit. It was like trying to see where the president was gonna have his take on. I was just more so curious. No, but I was more so, and I want to get your take on that too. But I was also curious, like, all right, but like, why not have the conversations with like the leader of Israel and like the leader of like Palestine and see like the deeper conversations of what's going on right now because like there's a bunch of people like starving and dying right now too.
Well, because like, that would get him nowhere.
Well, that would be getting
like he. It's the same thing with like when he brought on like Zelensky. And it was like clearly like he just brought him into the White House with all the cameras to try to embarrass him about like not wearing a suit or whatever.
It was like in that type of aspect, trying to show authority rather than like.
But like he would never. But like he would never in his wildest dreams ever do that to like Vladimir Putin, because he wants to be Vladimir Putin. He'll take the small guy that the dictator is pummeling in a war and embarrass him in the White House. But he will never stand up to the actual dictator because again. Trump, that's what he wants. Like, because he's just looking at it, he's going, why do, like, people never stand up to him? Why do you think he loves Kim Jong-un from North Korea? Because he's looking, wow, everyone loves him over there. Well, because they're beaten into submission to love him.
No, I'm sorry, I should have laughed with the way he said it. The way he said it, though. No, you're right, though.
And then it's like, his whole administration, they're doing that now. Like, like they're going after universities. They're suing like news outlets. They're doing everything that dictators do to like lessen democracy, to cripple it, so that you have to condense power around one person. It's harder for him to do it because we're in a digital age where information just flies. There's a lot more he'd have to try to control than like back in the day or like, in like a North Korea or something like that. But he'll never stand up to a dictator. So he'll bring in other people that he can use as punching bags for his side. The only thing I'll say is about with the South African guy. But then right after that, they basically were like, Trump didn't even play videos from South Africa. They were from the Congo. So they're like, truth doesn't matter anymore. The photo op happened. He didn't even play an accurate video. Caught this guy off guard. So that's all the people.
He said he didn't know about it.
So that's all the people that love Trump need. Yeah, he got him. He got him. And then it's like, and now it's too late to now tell how many millions of people. Oh, that video isn't even from like the right place. Like it was like the guy with the MS-13 thing, and they showed the fingers where they photoshopped the MS-13 on, and it's like once he holds it up in the Oval Office, it's the truth now.
Right.
And now you can't.
How are
you going to inform all these other people that bought it that now that's not the accurate thing? And they're smart enough. That's the one thing that they, at least that they are smart enough to understand. Just lie. By the time you get caught, it doesn't correct itself nowadays. We've already moved on to the next thing, the next viral thing that happened an hour later.
Right.
So you can't like correct. And he's also shameless. That's his greatest strength. You can't keep up with the shameless thing he did yesterday because he's done 15 more since that. So you can't actually act like none of it sticks, right? Like Joe Biden, who I didn't even like, has one bad debate, and there's like 3 weeks of he has dementia and he needs to step down and he can't run anymore. Like every news outlet. Even like liberal news outlets were like, he's got to get out of here. It's stuck. It's stuck like glue. Donald Trump talks like he has cold oatmeal in his head and never sticks. Like the same people that are like, this old guy couldn't speak straight, get rid of him. Then don't turn that microscope on their old guy and being like, he sounds just as insane sometimes because he's 80. But it doesn't stick. Nothing ever sticks to him. He could stumble as many sentences as Joe Biden did, but the dementia thing will never stick. You got to step down. That'll never stick. It's just like he's so shameless. You can't corral it to like focus on one moment that would have gotten anyone else thrown out of office. You go back to like when George Bush's dad. They basically calculate when he tried to run again for president. They attribute his loss to the moment during the debate where he checked his watch, because they were like, the news just were like, he's got more important places to be than speak to the American public. That was it. He fucking, like, he couldn't recover from doing this during a debate.
Right.
And now we're like, this guy told people during a debate that people were eating their neighbors' cats and dogs.
Right.
And he recovered just fine. And not just recovered, blew the opponent out. Like, that didn't matter to people. That was clearly an insane thing for someone to say. like, it didn't matter. But like 30, 40 years ago, doing this was shameful enough to make you lose the debate.
So I was thinking about that, right? Like, all right, is it that, or is it the celebrity effect? Because, like, didn't, like, Reagan in his time, wasn't he an actor as well or some shit?
He was an actor.
So, like, in terms of those times, because those times there was no social media, there was none of this shit. So, like, they had a different culture back then, obviously, right? But, like, I still think that people were still probably maybe in awe of that character because they seen that character in such and such.
Well, sure. I'm sure it helps a politician to be an actor, I'm
sure. I'm not saying that whether that be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying maybe it is what it is.
Sure.
Like,
I just think like
likability.
Like if you go back like pre like Nixon and stuff. Obviously, I'm not sitting there saying that like there's been plenty of shitty presidents even before all that. But a lot of the trajectory changed once they sort of lessened. Like, well, it was like one, like the invention of like PAC and super PAC money, which like was I think in the 70s, like right around Nixon or after Nixon, where like you could essentially have anonymous donors,
right?
And then like and then like allowed corporations to basically like anonymously donate and show up to your party. Like, by the way,
but that's what. Do you feel like that's what changed the Democratic Party as well?
I feel like I feel like it just changed American politics because then everyone could buy a candidate.
Period.
Right? Like, and then on top of that, lessening like fairness doctrines and stuff. Like we never at one point we didn't have like a left and a right news channel. Like
it was just the news channel.
It was just a guy that like today at 10:36 in the morning, a bomb went off at this building. Like it was just I'm just telling you the thing that happened.
Right.
Then when like they were able to get rid of that, then you could have opinionated news anchors. That it's like, at 10:36, a bomb went off. It might have been a liberal Democrat that set it off. We'll have to find, like, and then it used the word might have, right? You just say might have. Because I'm not lying.
That was good.
It's like
that was good.
And it's like, but even on the other side, it happens too. Like, right? Like, we're like, my mom watches, like, more like liberal entities, and like, and all that tries to do, like, both sides, they just try to terrify you.
Right.
Like, that's like, it's like, and like, it never used, like, it, I'm not saying it was like, I mean, I wasn't alive back before that, but sometimes I yearn from, like, I wonder what life was like when you just read the paper and it just, like, told you things that happened without an opinion.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if you can reverse the ship, because that you could see it happen in real time, like changing all that then, and then having like media news outlets that can fearmonger you. So when fucking Sean Hannity is up there knowing who, like, what, last year in a court case to get out of being sued, he basically had to tell them, I'm a performer. I'm a performer. That it's all like I'm not a news anchor. I'm a performer. It's like, well, your viewers don't know that.
Right.
They think you're telling them the truth.
Right.
So he's in on the grift. Like, but if you tell that to people for 40 straight years, eventually
sticks. You've
created people that don't realize there's a grift. Now their reality is that. That's how you get like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and those, like these are people now in their 40s that have only ever had like Fox News, like one side of the news telling them a certain truth.
Right.
And then becoming politicians and being like, oh no, I believe all this crazy shit. Like all the crazy shit you told me for 30, 40 years, I've been the recipient of it.
I'm the best one that says this.
And then like, so now you have like a whole upper class people that are like, oh shit, like the monster we created
that's the one.
Is now like a part of the system.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, like you created a whole reality for people that shape them into who they are.
So, all right, let's get deeper in the weeds.
Yeah.
Do you feel conspiratorial shit? All right. Do you feel right? Like, I remember I had this journalist on the podcast. She's like, they just want you to decide. Coke. It's like Coke or Pepsi. You choose one. You got to choose one. I was like, oh, I love that. Like, it's so true. Like, do you feel that maybe the simulation that we're in is simply put to give that constant, like, because like as these people are arguing here, we can like grab from here,
sure,
type of thing.
Oh, I definitely think like divide and conquer is like a real thing. Right? You know, it's like
even within a nation.
It's a practice. I mean, it's a practice that many people put in place throughout history to become dictators or authoritarian.
You even see it in like street.
I think the difference is like what level of that. So I'm not going to say I'm ignorant enough to think that like both sides of the American political aisle don't like enrich themselves, right? But the scales seem so like the idea of like a smart person that's doing a divide and conquer is going to want to enrich themselves, but you can't destroy your society, your civilians too much, because then they'll take your fucking head. They'll eventually say, "I've had enough." Break out the guillotines. Like you have to do it in a way that like your boots on their neck, but they can still breathe. Where like now it's like feels like it's going beyond that, where like it's take, and then like bail, like if we have to, or like where he's a stupid dictator in that way, where he doesn't understand his own arrogance, which is like you'll eventually get yourself fucking beheaded, buddy. Or like you're actually. The rest of them are probably mad at you, not because you're breaking the system of like, like his supporters think he's like taking it to the deep state or whatever the fuck they think. And it's like, but like the actual system is like, pump the brakes, man. Like you're doing it a little too hard, too fast. Like you're going to break everything and then they're going to come for all of us.
Right.
Where like an honor among thieves, which he doesn't even have. So it's like, he just wants to boot on neck forever, like, and cut off your oxygen supply, which will just cause mass disturbance and much more violence, I think. Where I don't even think we understand the level of hysteria that is going to continue to brew over the next 4 years, and honestly, probably beyond him. Like, so what does the country do if he says "fuck it"? I'm gonna run
again, right? And on some, and then everyone's like, okay.
I mean, like we would have to physically remove him from office. Like that's like that's straight up undeniable authoritarian dictatorship. Like to try to pull that.
But then imagine he does it.
How much of the country we would just accept it?
You think
he almost did it.
Right.
Like he literally almost did it. Like.
So that's why you feel like, because that's what happened in my country, bro. You know that, right? In Venezuela, that's what happened with Chavez, and he stayed president for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that's the other thing too, right? You look like there's like
happens in many countries.
Well, even if you look like the French Revolution, like the revolution, people say like it needed to happen or whatever, but then the fallout after the revolution. For a while, people were even in more desperate squalor because there was no actual like leadership that could like actually lead.
I wonder what
and
kind
there was
of
just tons of factions killing each other.
That's the shit that's wild, yo. Like the domino effect that would cause around the world.
Because like it's unfortunate, like human beings are. You wish they weren't as predictable as they are, but it's like. A lot of times, like a revolution happens, and then someone gets in charge, and then they love the power, the wealth, and the greed. And then they start to become the thing that they were fighting against that was holding them down. once they then get that spot.
Right. And
because then they think, well, the way I think that got me here is the answer, right? So like we all have to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a dangerous cycle,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, I mean, the White House pardon lawyer tweeted today that basically, like, if you believe in the MAGA movement, you'll be pardoned. Like, so you could they're basically telling you can commit crimes, and if you pledge your allegiance to Donald Trump, they're just going to pardon you. All the people that stormed the Capitol got pardons. Like they pardoned all of them. All the January 6ers. Yeah, they're all getting out of jail.
Oh, shit.
Because it's like, they were on my side. So it's like, there's not even a level of human decency that says, even if someone's like voted for you,
mm-hmm.
if they do something terrible, they should probably go to jail. Or whatever, like, the idea that, like, as long as you support me, even if you do something bad,
mm-hmm.
I got your back.
Mm.
How is that like a rational thought?
That's more mafioso than, like...
But it's like, that's where I'm like, you know, like, there's a difference between, like, liking somebody and then, like, if you believe in someone to the point that you think one of their supporters should be able to, like, do something without repercussion and then have that person give them the get out of jail free card,
mm-hmm.
you're in a cult. You are in a cult.
Yo, sorry, you got mad funny bars. I don't know if you know that, bro.
It's like, all right, like, you know how many times, like, I've had people that, like, I know more, like, my age that are obviously on the other side of the political aisle of me. Where, like, one time, like, when Cuomo got in all that trouble, I had someone be like, oh, your boy. I'm like, who the fuck's my boy? There's no politician that's ever existed that's my boy. There'll never be a politician who I will wear on my hat or on my shirt or have a flag outside my...
Right.
You're in a cult. Like, it doesn't matter if there's like a liberal that like had 100% of the things that I wanted to get done. They said, I'm going to do it.
Right.
That person's picture's never going to hang in my house. They fucking work for me. Like, that I'm their boss.
Right.
And if I don't like what they do the next day, I'm going to condemn it, even if I voted for them. We're in a place where it's like...
Whatever he says
goes. Nothing he says is wrong. And if you believe in him and do something wrong, he'll let you get away with it. While trying to... like, it's like... I have to believe that there are rational adults that if they took a step back and a breath... would be able to recognize that that's fundamentally wrong of, like, any leader.
Right.
Like, I don't care if there was a Democratic president and they were like, if you can prove that you voted for me, I'll let you break the law and then I'll just pardon you. You know, like, if 3,000 of my, you know, supporters stormed the building and tried to kill somebody, I'll let you go. Like, I would be like, no, that's fucked up. Like, you can't do that. But we live where a bunch of people are like, yes.
Right.
Because, again, it's team sport. It's I've successfully trolled the other side.
Right.
And it's like, if you're a grown adult that's, like, looking for your president to be a troll, like an internet troll come to life, you have a lot you have to reevaluate about yourself beyond politics. Like, there's something... either aggrieved or bitter or I don't know what it is that, like, goes beyond a political choice or, like, a vote or, you know, like, that's not even, like, a policy thing. That's like, if you'll inflict as much pain as possible on the side I perceive as the enemy, then that's what I want. Like, is in its own, like, a kind of a scary thing. Because that means you're living amongst people that, like, have been told you're their enemy or whatever.
No, it's a dog-eat-dog world. If you see the especially not everywhere, right, and not in every community and not in every you know, group of people, but there's definitely if you look around you, even in New York City, you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a mad competitive, super egotistical. Like, everything's just like me. Sure. Like, bro, like. You know how it is. But the thing is that how can we change that if people don't even want to change that within their communities?
Oh, sure.
You know, it's like, that's just, you're right. It's the biggest imitation of what this all is.
I mean, you know, like narcissism and selfishness are like a root cause of a lot of issues. Not just in like a political nature.
Yeah, everything, society, like people, dynamics, relationships, freaking upbringings, what you've had to face because perhaps your parents couldn't face something themselves, or maybe they did and you didn't. You know what I mean? There's so much of a variety of different things that could have happened.
Even like image, right? Like, which has always been a tough thing for people. Which I can't even fathom all of what we're talking about and being like a teenager right now.
Nah, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, I'm like, if I had the access to what everybody has access to when I was that much younger, and like feeding image or feeding what someone has that I don't have, and that he could, like we were saying before, like it could drive you into like massive depression, which I'm sure it does to a lot of people, not just teenagers, just adults too. Or it'll just make you that much more narcissistic, or that much more like me.
Okay.
You know, like, and then we also have this like issue where like everybody thinks they're like the main character of every day.
Right.
You know, so that also makes you harbor like a selfish approach to every aspect of your life.
I love this comedian who was like, he was saying the same thing. He's like, everyone thinks they're the main character of the story. He's like, but in reality, it's not even about them. It's probably about a couple arguing outside and it's raining. He's like, this is fucking funny.
It's like, but again, it's like, I don't, like, we can talk about all these things and then be like, all right, so what's the solution? I have no fucking clue. Like, I
feel like the solution is what we choose to do with it,
because you can't, there's, like, I never even know where to begin to try to tackle, like, any of that.
Right, but look how happy you are in your life with your relationship. And that's a beautiful thing.
Well, because you have to decide to, like, what you can control versus what you can't
exactly control. And that's why I love doing this podcast, bro. Like it gives a sense of, you know what, first of all, it's not all about me. I'm getting to hear someone and their story, and then it's also like a matter of showing that to other people and how it could really like create way more, bro. Like I think these conversations kind of showcase many of the things that people in society be like, oh, that can't happen or this can't happen. Like, you've had a conversation with a Christian guy right here earlier in the podcast over there, and both of you guys were mad respectful for each other, and we had an interesting conversation, and it was a great time. Like a lot of things that have happened on this podcast breaks a lot of societal barriers.
Because like most people are cowards, right? So like, and the world we live in makes cowardice like powerful, like. It's easy to insult somebody on the internet. You try to do it to their face.
For real.
You might get your teeth knocked out.
For real.
Or you wouldn't even have the stones to say it.
Right.
Where the same goes the opposite. Like if you actually were to converse with people or confront in like like I've seen it in like poetry rooms where different opinions are in pieces and they do it, and you would think that like, if it was on the internet there'd be some overreaction, but like when you're in a room with someone that thinks diametrically opposed to you do on like a whatever topic, you pick, just insert a topic there, 9 times out of 10 there's either progress made or there's at least the idea that like, oh shit, this person I've known walks in other shoes that are not mine. And therefore, like, no confrontation actually happens on these, like, difference of opinions or whatever. Obviously, there's a level of that. It depends on the topic at hand. And if that topic is, like, the deciding factor of, like, are we talking about, like, a policy or are we talking about an opinion on, I don't know. But clearly, if it was, like, someone's differing opinion to you on like whether you deserve to have rights or not, like that probably should lead to some level of confrontation, or that's the other thing too. We're too like oh, it's not worth it to confront that person. Or I'm like, well, you're looking back in the day, they used to like punch Nazis in the fucking face. Like they used to, like people used to actively be like,
right,
you're doing something terrible.
Right, here's a consequence.
Like fuck off.
Right.
Where now we're more like, just
like, don't look away.
Just move on from it. The opposite of that is to go into like the cowardice of everything. Is this actually happened to me like last summer when Trump was almost assassinated. Obviously, it's a crazy thing, so everyone was talking about it. I was at the deli. There's like a little old lady waiting for whatever she was ordering. And like two guys behind her, and then me. And they were obviously talking about it, and we're clearly like Trump supporters. And they're like talking about it, and then they're like go beyond the level of talking about it. Where the guy's like, he's like, well, we all know that like Joe Biden put the hit on him, and we like because they all they care about is the hate they have in their heart for him, and that they want him dead. And then they got the other guy's response to that was like, yeah, that's why they need to take the entire Biden family, line them up, and execute them on television.
What the fuck?
And the woman turned around and was like, excuse me, but could like we, like tame it down a little bit?
Right.
I thought I was raised where you kind of respect your elders to a degree.
Right.
These guys are older than me, younger than her.
Right.
And instead they double down on like the behavior. And they're kind of like digging in to like almost rise her discomfort.
What the fuck? What they say?
Like about like, essentially that like that's the only way to solve the problem would be to like kill them off. And then start to go into how like the killer is probably a gay person. It was like the weirdest.
Oh, so they just completely disregarded what she said, kept on going in a wilder direction.
So then I see red with stuff like that. Yeah. Not because they're Trump supporters.
But
I have an issue in public when people are like making other people uncomfortable that they know are vulnerable and can't do anything about it. And so that knowing that they're going to be cowards because no one ever confronts these fucking people. So I was like, do you realize how absolutely fucking crazy you sound right now in public? And they were definitely like, oh, well, it was a crazy thing that happened. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get that was a crazy thing. But like, do you hear the words coming out of your mouth at like 10 a.m. while we're trying to get breakfast? Do you hear what you sound like to other people? I know, like just stuttering.
That was
around.
so brilliant. Like you kind of like mirrored them without saying or doing anything aggressive. You just said something that would like only basically like display a mirror to them.
Because like usually they like the loudest, angriest, most arrogant person in a public space is usually a pussy.
Yeah.
Like they actually won't.
Right.
Like if someone like not that you have to like throw down or if you actually like confront them in a way that boxes them in, they become all jumbled up because we've allowed them to be loud and arrogant and annoying in society. Like these guys were probably like in their 50s. This woman's probably like in her late 70s. Wow. It's like you're not acting like a grown adult. Like you're literally not acting like a grown adult.
Which is another thing that you were kind of like touching upon before in a little bit, right? In terms of society and a reflection of our leader and how it could be spawned off into society.
Like, it was fun for them to keep making her uncomfortable. And who knows? She might have voted for Donald Trump, or but she didn't want to hear about the execution of an entire family on television while she's ordering her cold cuts. And it's like instead of respecting that, it's like, well, this little lady can't do this, so we can make her more uncomfortable. Yeah, it's like such a crazy way to be.
It is cool.
And I'm not saying that only happens.
So they didn't say anything after that. They just stood quiet.
Like they definitely didn't apologize or anything, but they didn't like say much more and kind of just like waited for their like food. Yeah, you know, like because they were like, you know, definitely like, oh shit, like someone actually like just confronted us right now. And then like 9 times out of 10 you do that type of person backs down because they are all like
macho,
you know, like, but there's no actual toughness underneath that.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not saying that only happens with like a Trump supporter. Like, I'm just like, that's just an example that actually happened. Right. But that like in general, in society, if we act like, if we're just so enclosed and that we actually can't act like sensible adults, out in public and like seeing things like, I see something like that. It was less about like what they were talking about and more about just the idea that I could have never imagined like 2 gentlemen older than me being the ones honestly acting like fucking kids, like little kids. Yeah, I was like, this is such a wild thing that's occurring right now. That like, and she didn't even like snap at them. She was just like, you know, she was like something like, gentlemen, please, could we tame it down? Like, and it was just like, oh, that made them emboldened. And it's like, it's like, what a weird way to be. And it's like, you see that kind of behavior sort of, because they probably are self-centered or, you know, it is a me thing. And making people uncomfortable has become like a lot of other people's goals, which is like a very strange thing
to have as a goal, right? Yo, so you know, I have the part of the podcast where I ask the individual, hey, can you give me a question that I bring out to society? And I go ask that question. What would that question be?
What's the last good thing you did for somebody? And if you can't think of an answer, then challenge them to maybe go do something good for somebody that day.
So what's the last good thing you've done for somebody? The last good thing I do for somebody, I do it every day. You know, I'm doing good things for my family here, taking care of my uncle back at the house and stuff, you know. And then, you know, talking to the youth in the neighborhood every once in a while. I feel like that's serving its purpose.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a good one.
Yeah, no problem.
Dope. I like that. Well, what's the last thing you did?
The last good thing I did was, so did I do anything good today? I have to challenge myself. Maybe don't put them on. I'm putting them on the spot. The last good thing I did.
I'm trying
to think of like today at work, if like something happened where like I might have
probably done it and you don't even notice it.
Well, I mean, so like a couple, like I helped film a commencement for something, and you know, there was someone there that had requested something like a student beyond what we were there for, so they could have like a personal video to like send back home because their parents wouldn't be there. So naturally, we were like, yeah, absolutely, we will like film a message with you, and then you know, get that so you can send it to like your parents in another country who couldn't be here at your graduation. You know, which was like in the moment, like it felt like work didn't matter. Like this is like a defining moment for this kid who's gonna walk across the stage, and their parents weren't able to actually like come watch them walk across the stage. So like, it's a no-brainer for me to be like, yes, we'll film a little message for you to like have for your parents. That's like beyond what we were doing there that day, you know.
That's so, man.
It's like, it took me a while to think about it because that's the last thing. The last thing I'll say is like, just do good things for people without the idea that you have to like
get something in return.
Tell everybody else about it, right? Like if you just start to do nice things or say nice things to people, it's just like comes to you. Like you just start to work that into your personality, where you're like, you know, nowadays it's like I'm doing a good thing right now. Like and subscribe.
Right.
And it's like, that's like a whole, weird thing to me too. But yeah, I don't know. Like that's one last thing where I can remember, that it felt like the right thing to do for that person.
Right. Nah, that's what's up, man. I like that. I just be helping people on my way to work or like on my way back. Oh, the camera died. But yeah, it just damn. We be talking, bro. We be talking.
You get like locked in.
Yeah, nah, exactly.
Well, it's like a good conversation feels like 2 seconds.
Yo, but it's a long one. We had a long one. It was like a long 2 seconds. Yo, damn. Before we go, because we can keep talking for hours, but it is nice to have visuals.
Sure.
We'll definitely have you back on some other time. That'd be dope as hell. What can you leave off with the people? Like, what can you say to them as like a timestamp, not only for your life, right? As an individual, you're coming to a new era in your life. Like, what can you leave the people with? Like with your life and how you view things now.
I don't know where, like, I can't pinpoint like where my life turned or like, because it happens like gradually over time. But at some point, like, because I used to be a very like depressed sort of like younger adult individual and had a very different view on like where my life was going or what it was possible. And as corny as this might sound, choosing to like self-reflect and regardless of like where life was taking me to be a more compassionate person. And I can work in like a million different ways. It could just be like listening to somebody that needs someone to speak to, or just actively trying to like up my level of compassion, then helped me internally with myself. And then ultimately, like, I think is what has gifted me many, many strong, powerful relationships, like within my family, within my friend group, like my best friend group is rather large, and we are like it's like it's family, and I think a lot of that just gets stronger because I've tried to allow myself to be more compassionate to the uglier, darker parts of myself, and then be more compassionate outwardly, because like every cliche is true, that like you never know what someone's going through. And so if I know when I'm deep, dark down in the hole, like there's clearly other people that are not saying it out loud and going about their day deep, dark down in the hole. And if you can like survive that, it almost feels like it's your duty to like try to put more compassion out into the world, because you know what that feels like, and you don't want other people to feel that way because it's awful.
Right.
And then I think that ends up becoming its own reward through relationships with other people that then value you as a person, because they see you either as like a nice person or a decent person or a loyal person or whatever it is. But I feel like all always threads back to like trying to figure out at some point where I tried to be a little bit more compassionate each day for both myself and for like other people around me.
No, I love that, man. That's good. I feel like that leaves people with an understanding, if they choose to hear that message, something that could be very beneficial in their life and for the people around them. Compassion
transcends like sides and beliefs, and it's just like a tenet of like your own humanity to be compassionate, and that should be able. Well, what it'll do is it just also makes you realize that like other compassionate people exist in other walks of life, in other belief systems different than you, in other religions different than you.
That's so true.
That like
that nature is there no matter what
compassion it can be a guiding light to other compassionate people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's honestly like how you foster like togetherness in community. Because if you're all coming from a place of like, let's be good to each other, let's be kind to each other, and to a degree, you still have to also have boundaries and stuff. But like, it will transcend generation. It will transcend like age. It will transcend belief, religion, all that stuff. If like you find if it leads you to other people that believe in compassion as like kind of like a core.
It's the only way, because if not, you're gonna be in a dog eat dog type of society.
Because compassion also brings you to the truth of pain and that we all experience loss and pain.
Right. No matter whatever.
And we shouldn't compare that either, because like your pain in the moment is the worst thing for you, and so like, yeah, compassion helps you get out of that, but it also makes you realize that like someone that doesn't look, think, or act like you has also experienced immense pain or grief or loss or confusion or self-doubt or feeling unloved. And then you're like, that's where we're all similar. At those core, like, inner ugly sort of things that then we can try to turn into like kindness for other people is really like, you would hope that that's the way before other means to change society. Like, obviously, in a perfect utopian world, it'd be amazing if compassion could just be the thing that breaks barriers, turns the ship around. But at least on smaller levels, I think it can turn the internal ship around and maybe help somebody else.
Hopefully, man. Because I feel like, again, it's kind of going back to, it's like a roll of the dice with how it could all be. But I think that the fact that you're alive and the fact that you exist and the fact that people that actually feel the same way as you do exist still too, I feel like it constantly shows that, kind of like what you were saying, like it doesn't matter what like clique you're in, there's still going to be people within that clique that still want to show compassion, that still want to show light, that still want to just connect with people on that basis,
Yeah, it's why it's like you believe the thing, but I think like don't have a hive mind. You don't think there's like other atheists I've met that like I'm like, you're a terrible person. Like it doesn't matter. Like every walk of life, there's good people and kind of shitty people. And it's navigating that is what fosters community. So I feel like a lot of time people think of community and they make cults because they only want
their perspective.
One thing.
Right.
That's not community.
Yeah, it's not.
Communities have like they need people that are the teachers and the plumbers and the like artists and that's community. Community actually you actually have to get along with people that don't think like you or are all the exact same as you to foster community. Because if you don't do that, you just have hive mind or a cult or like a cult of personality or just like a very one-track society. Community is difference, like, but good, like fostering that is a good thing. That everyone has different strengths and weaknesses that can like be a part of the puzzle.
Finding unity,
and like if we're choosing to live here, you have to do that. We don't. It would just become tribal in America to a degree, like in a a lot of times we think we're very diverse here, and it's like, yes, we are on a statistic chart, but like you can find neighborhoods that literally have borderlines. And you're gonna have different versions of every person in that neighborhood. That like some get along with the other neighborhood, some don't want anything to do with the other neighborhood. It's like, those are like separate communities within the overall community. But it's all fascinating and interesting, and I wish there was like a easy answer.
There's never an easy answer
to make us all get along.
Yo, TJ, it's always great talking to you, my guy, bro. And I definitely want to have you back on. Where can the people find you?
Oh, it's I go by the Everyday Bite on Instagram. That's kind of like, I guess, where the most I'm active. And then other than that, I have like a trip rock poetry duo I'm a part of called Subtle Bodies. People can follow that too if they want to get like a flavor taste of like the poetry and the music.
You got any work coming out or anything that you're
literally on my ride here was listening to the masters of our second album.
Hey, I bet you gotta send me a link or send me something so I could like clip it into.
Oh yeah, whatever.
And yo, thank you so much for being here, man. Every single time we speak, bro, I really enjoy it. Nah, for real. It's every single time that this upgrades, I need to come. I need to have you back on. We talk. You know, this is a new setup, but hopefully, when the time you come back, maybe I'll add more. It'll be better.
I always love coming.
Thanks,
it's
man.
always a good time.
For real, bro.
Appreciate it.
So yeah.
Boom. So yeah. I can't trust no switching roadie. I be on my grown thing. Keep on moving. Time be skipping phone and going home. Same process. Trust the progress. I be knowing where